And there we go. Okay. Welcome back, everybody, to Stone Student Support Podcast. I'm Adrian here with my co-host Zach, and tonight we are going to be going over Skeleton Key. Um, but first, let's just kind of talk about the movie a little bit. This was a really good one. This shit still held up just as good as the first time I saw it. Did you feel the same?
Yeah, honestly, I feel like something I've noticed with this and Disturbia is that they're both PG-13 horror movies. And I wonder if when it comes down to needing to rely on like a good premise and like good performances, if that's gonna be in favor of the PG-13 movies holding up 20 years later. Because it's like they couldn't just be lazy and rely on like cheap gore to make either
Yeah,
Skeleton Key or Disturbia work. And I wonder if that's part of why it was so good still. So
yeah, no, that's a good point. I think that is a huge thing in 2000s horror. I feel like maybe most of early 2000s horror, the story had to at least keep you interested in seeing how it all played out, at least because I don't think like mainstream audiences were used to like the warrior shit and the shock value quite as much.
yeah.
So like that was still like in this little experimental phase and had like its like cult following sort of. Um,
Can you hear me?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Why did
My
you lose me
my
again?
audio quality of you is kind of bad. It's I don't know what's going on with it, but I was hearing like half of that.
Shit. Okay. Is it coming through pretty clear now or no?
Yeah, here one sec.
You make sure the Wi-Fi is off while I'm here. Yeah, that should be fine actually.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah, I got you. Can you
I'm
still not
sorry.
hear me?
Say the last. Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you okay now, but I'm sorry. Last thing you're saying again.
Yeah, yours just started cutting out a little bit too. God damn it. Uh, yeah, fuck it. Let's just see what happens, I guess. Um, Forgot the point I was even making. Oh, about I was just kind of going off of what you said about the story having to make really good sense because of mainstream audiences not being used to like shock factor and like gore and stuff like that. So that
Hmm.
actually is a really good point about why this movie holds up. I was just talking about it with a few people, and I would compare this one to a lot to Training Day, as there's a lot of tense things going on. You're not really sure who all was involved as far as like being actual bad guys. But then once you rewatch the movie, you can actually see where the villain was plotting the entire time, like right in front of you. So I think that's another.
Right.
So this
Right.
movie wasn't like old because of the plot twist. It didn't make it automatically old after the first watch because you get to see it again in a different way of just kind of watching things be
Right.
like the nerd like her asking about if she's like Violet was asking Caroline about if she's all marked up, like referring to her having tattoos and things, and it's just like, dude, she's just been kind of eyeing her new shell this whole time with all these like random ass questions.
Right.
And it makes it a lot more
Exactly.
sinister. Yeah. Um, you had made a good point. We were texting the other day. You said you could see Matthew McConaughey doing this role. I'm assuming you meant as Caroline, right?
Yeah, for sure. He would do a great Violet, dude. He could do a perfect Southern Belle. But yeah, no,
Mhm.
I think honestly, the setting in both True Detective season one and this one,
Right.
fucking Louisiana, man, Deep South New Orleans stuff is like otherworldly in a way. And like those are the
Yeah.
only two movies I can think of that like horror, I guess not movie and a TV show that I can think of that like
Yeah, I
utilize
can't
that
think
to
of
like the
any.
right horror elements. There's probably
Yeah,
more that
they
I haven't
really.
seen though.
Yeah, there probably is more that we just haven't seen, but great point though that I could definitely see him doing that, especially towards the end. Like, so this movie does one thing I don't like in movies in general. Towards the ending of it, again, this movie came out in 2005. Um, I'm not super friendly about spoilers just because I tend to ramble and I need to connect my points. But there's a scene in the end where Caroline is like, she's like telling Violet that she knows everything. I hate that um in a movie because like not to say that like all women are like super like defenseless, but it is kind of strange to see like this sort of timid woman who's outnumbered out there as well, just kind of revealing to the bad guy that she knows what she's trying to do, like just in the way that it came about. Um,
Mm.
it
Hmm.
kind of gives me that feeling of like when you're watching like a generic cop movie and like the partner's the bad guy the whole time, and then the good cop gets him alone and is like, "Hey, I know it's you. Like you need to turn yourself in and blah blah blah," and then the bad cop is just like, oh, okay, bam, and just fucking kills him. Because like, why the fuck would you do that? Like, why wouldn't you?
Right.
Why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
I'll jump my fucking dudes. Why wouldn't you be more tactful about that? Um, that was a gripe I had, and then I didn't like how hard it was for Caroline, like when she was struggling with Violet. As like a 60-year-old woman, like punch that bitch in the face and right. It was like there was like lots of struggling and grabbing each other and like trying to strangle and stuff. And it's just like in reality, like you really could have just decked her. Like she's up there in age, that body is old, and like she's searching for a new one already. Um, but that's really like nitpicking. Um, I can't think of too much else I didn't like about. Well, okay, so I didn't care for the friend Jill. Uh, it just
Mm.
their friendship didn't feel super great. Like it wasn't a whole lot of great chemistry there, and she kind of was just only there in like that stereotypical way of um, we need a reason,
The black
we
friend
need
that
someone.
knows the voodoo shit.
Yeah, it's like we need someone to explain to this white girl about hoodoo. Like she has this black friend. It's like
Right.
it's always this
No,
thing.
yeah, I
Like
agree.
Megan Good has this. It's called the mystical Negro character, but like Megan Good portrays that in this really
Mm.
badass movie called Venom from like '08. I think no, that movie is sick. But it's like at the end when they need to wrap the movie up, she all of a sudden is like, "Oh yeah, my grandma was a voodoo priestess. We just have to do this and this." And I'm like, "Bitch, six people
Yeah.
died before you remember that." This is
Yeah.
terrible. Like I hate when the movie does this, like, oh, it's time to wrap this up. Oh yeah, my grandfather was my grandma, my aunt does so like that. I wasn't really a huge fan of that. Like, I mean, she honestly didn't really need Jill except for um Jill's presence sets up one of my favorite lines in this whole movie, which I will get to that. I'll save that. I'll hold off on that. Such a great line, and it plays on a trope. So the movie is kind of self-aware that it's playing these tropes, but because, as we find out at the end, it's black people's consciousness inside of these white people's bodies, it sort of has to rely on those tropes. Um, one small nitpick, and I think this is the last one I had. Like this last little nitpick I had was the I wasn't sure if the legend of Justify and Cecile were just like that big, or if some of the townspeople were in on their whole make these people believe. Because the gas station scene when she first gets there, outside of the blind lady being in there who comes back later, and her getting a look at the red brick clay, I didn't feel like that scene was necessary at all. And they tried to make it like this creepy thing, and they made the gas station attendant seem kind of
Oh
like
yeah.
ominous, almost like in movies like Wrong Turn and like The New Strangers, whenever the people from out of town travel to these weird places, the townspeople are just off. So it's like, is this supposed to be one of those things where like the whole town is like in on the fact that we kill outsiders or something like that? Or is it just supposed to add a creepy element
I
to a
mean,
movie? And but yeah, what's up?
to be fair, I was going to say I think that that is one of the few locations in the country where like no shade, no disrespect, but just like choosing to live there is just kind of creepy in a way. It's just
Mhm.
such an inherently creepy place. So like
Yeah, I
I
can
kind
see
of get
that,
it.
especially that location. So I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
not a whole lot bad to say about this movie. Except, I mean, I would like to believe there is a world in which Justify and Cecile did have the hoodoo lady and the blind lady kind of in on it as far as keeping people alive. Because when she goes to the gas station, like, why the fuck would that blind lady be listening to a record? You know what I mean? While she's babysitting, like, what was the point
Yeah.
of her listening to that in there? So I think I think she was supposed to
Sure.
be in on it. I really do because that didn't make sense to me. And then like the gas station attendant and the lady whose baby she was watching were in there, and it was just like, you know what? Oh fuck, I feel stupid. Now I'm gonna go back and rewatch this, and when we do Disturbia next week, I'll tell y'all my answer if I was right or not. But there's a scene later where Caroline goes in to see the priestess lady, and I had it subtitled because you couldn't really hear it because it's an older movie, I guess, and the sound quality is whatever. But what she was asking the lady that was in the store when Caroline went to visit, she was getting a potion because her husband was like beating on her. Was that the same lady? And would that explain why the dude was like
Yeah.
creepy and like you know, was that them? Like that could even have been a part of it.
Oh
So
shit.
now I got fuck, I didn't even think of
Interesting.
damn.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I'm for sure. I got an early day tomorrow. I want to rewatch it, and when we do Disturbia, if I remember, I'm going to say if that was her or not because that would make complete sense. Because I was like, why is this dude so like menacing? Like I didn't understand the scene. Um, but yeah, like I
Yeah.
said, not a whole lot bad to say about it. So let's go ahead and kind of get into my semi-legible play-by-play because it's been busy and I was rushed. Um, so the movie opens up with Caroline reading a story. She's a hospice caretaker, and she's reading a story to a patient of hers who we see die. And after he dies, she's like sort of upset about it, but nobody really seems to care because unfortunately, that is the nature of the business where she works. People die all the time. They kind of just get him out of there. Uh, she, I lost my train of thought. They get him out of there and like they sort of, like I said, that's just the nature of the business. So it's just like nothing new to them. To Caroline, it's kind of weighing on her, and you don't really see why, um, which they bring it up later. They kind of take a while to say it to the point that when I first watched this, I believe with you and Max about 7 years ago, I don't even remember the aspect of her own father. Like I didn't remember that at all. Um, so this was pretty much like a first watch again for me. So she's kind of like disgusted at
Mhm.
how quickly they move on with um just with daily business after people die, and there's just like she goes to throw away his personal effects in the dumpster. It's just filled with patients' personal effects who have passed, and like this really chokes her up. And in that moment, she decides to quit because it just feels inhumane. She finds this ad in Louisiana. Now, I'm not gonna lie to y'all, it's late. I forget where exactly she is, but I believe they say she's about an hour or two away from New Orleans, or at least from where this job is. She sees an ad in the paper for an in-home caregiver. She meets up with her friend Jill that we talked about. They go out and they had a club first. No, I think they just went out to eat, and she just kind of tells her like,
I
look,
think she's in New Orleans herself. I was gonna say I think she is in New Orleans, and the spot is like an hour out.
oh yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay,
I
okay.
recall correctly.
Which would, yeah, which would furthermore explain the isolation of that community and how just fucking awkward it is, right?
Right.
Um, so yeah, she is having lunch with Jill and she's telling her about just kind of what happened and how like she's over it, and that's where you kind of get this uh no, I'm getting ahead of myself. So she tells her that she's kind of done with that life and that she's found this job or whatever away. And then Jill's kind of trying to discourage her from going away, saying like it's basically in the swamps and you'll be alone and shit. And Caroline is like, well, I mean, it's only an hour or so away. Like I'll be back all the time to check on you and things like that, and we'll stay in touch. And goodbye. And that's the last we see of Jill for a while. Like until scenes come up where Caroline needs information, as we talked about before we started getting into the play-by-play. So she gets there, and I gotta make a note right here for driving through New Orleans. When she gets out of that car, she looks very well put together for like having been driving through like this hot, muggy, swampy area. Like makeup is like on point, her hair looks good. Like you know what I mean? It's like she just got out of bed and walked across the street. So like
Like I can
that,
believe
that
voodoo.
was
I can
weird
believe
to me.
voodoo, but I draw the line at humidity.
Yeah,
No, I
not
get
even a
you.
drop of sweat. Get the fuck out of here. I was like, no, 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 no. Even with the AC blowing, it's muggy, it's smug. You're stopping for gas. Like, no, no way. No, wasn't buying it. She looked way too put together. But she gets there and we can just say this house is pretty much a plantation. Um, big ass fucking house. She like kind of knocks on the door and nobody answers it. She's kind of like calling out. Nobody's there. We get one of our first kind of, I guess you could call it a jump scare. It's just she turns around as she goes into this house, uninvited, just starts walking through. Um, she kind of gets jump scared by this life-size like statue. I don't know if it was Mary or what it was, but there's some kind of big ass creepy statue just kind of at the bottom of the stairs, which I believe that comes into play later when she thinks she's seeing things, maybe. But yeah, that's her first jump scare. She goes out through the back door through the kitchen area where she sees Violet giving Ben like a haircut. Ben is the husband of Violet who is the guy that Caroline is there to take care of until he's ready to die. I think they say that he has like maybe a month or two left to live or something like that, as he is a stroke victim and
Yeah.
unable to talk or move or do much of anything. He's pretty much a vegetable. And she's just there to give him peace until he dies. But unlike at the hospital, she feels like it'll be more like on her own terms and it won't be so rushed. It'll be more personal. And the reason she's doing this is because she decided to go traveling with some friends of hers and help them with their band while damn lost that. She's just kind of helping these people with their helping her friends with the band while her dad is sick and she kind of missed out on being able to take care of things. So that is why she is so like just fucked up with all the death at her job and taking this job way out of town here. Let me just send him another invite real quick, y'all. My apologies. Just another invite right there. Skipping just a second. Oh, God. Bear with us, guys. It's super late and technology is being done. But basically, Caroline meets before she gets to go and talk to the couple out in the backyard. She stopped by um, the the estate lawyer who introduces himself as Luke and kind of gives him. She kind of gives, or not she. He gives Caroline a little bit of a rundown about the couple and kind of reiterates what we just said about him being a stroke victim and everything like that. And um, he's kind of flirtatious this whole movie, which makes sense during the end after the big plot reveal why he's so like just out there like that. There we go.
Yeah.
Yo, what's up? Can you hear me?
Yeah. I
Okay. All right. So yeah, we were just getting to where which Skarsgård brother was this? This is Bill, right? No.
Peter Skarsgård.
Yeah, Peter. I was going to say
I
Bill
think
is
it's Peter.
anyone. Peter, yeah. What do you think about his accent?
Um,
His southern accent in this movie.
I mean, I thought it was pretty good. I also think this is an interesting role that like he's playing someone that in a subtle way you're supposed to ultimately dislike. But like
Yes.
the twist is that you
Yo.
don't know that.
Hmm.
So like
I like.
I can imagine like someone watching this movie for the first time and them just being like, "Man, I don't like this guy." Like I know they're like trying to make him like the charming hero, but like I don't like him, and they would like feel justified with the plot twist.
Hmm. Yeah, definitely. I felt like the accent was okay, but I didn't like some of the dialogue they gave him with the accent. Like talking about
Mhm.
like that's like when he says she said something and he's like, yeah, that would really put some sandpaper at my ass or something. He's just saying shit sometimes. And it's just like, who the fuck wrote
Yeah,
some of these dialogue? But also the plot twist, he's a black man pretending to be like a southern white guy. It's like it kind of chucks. Like it really all works when you get to the end of this movie. So that's why I
yeah,
didn't really get out during the nitpicking. It was just something funny that I noticed, just some of the dialogue. Um, so I wasn't sure how long it would take for you to reconnect. So I kept going a little bit. We were just, I mean, that's basically where we left off with. She goes out to the backyard and she sees Violet and Ben, but she stopped by Luke, who just tells him or tells her about the couple and the stroke and how he had it up in the attic and all this stuff. And then there's a weird interaction with Violet and Caroline, to which she acts like she doesn't want her to stay and says she won't understand the house and yeah, just really just being a bitch, just right off rip to Caroline, which I've got to say the performance they're putting on top notch. I mean, they
yeah.
really committed. I mean, it's impressive. The reveal, like it's just so fucking impressive the acts they put on because I hadn't seen it in a while. So and I remember they were acting great, So I didn't remember if Ben was also faking it and Ben was the best. So like up until closer to the end is when I remembered I was like, okay, like it's gotta be Luke. But that's only because I had seen it once before. So I knew it was one of the two. I just couldn't remember the entire the entire reveal. So it was still like a first watch for me when I ran it back the other day. But man, just the
Right.
links they go to, like leaving shit unlocked one day that they left locked on purpose, like just it gets very impressive. Like they really commit. It's almost like they wrote a play, like a stage play to follow.
Oh yeah,
Um,
you're right.
so like
Okay.
while Luke, yeah, so while Luke and Caroline are talking, like Luke convinces her to stay, and she's like, "Look, the last lady left too, but like she's like that to everybody. You just got to be tougher than the last lady, and not take it personal and all that." And so she convinces Caroline to stay. Caroline gets shown her room around the house. She gets told about Ben's remedies. She gets told about the mirror thing in the house because she notices there's no mirrors in the bathrooms and she's seeing like these square and circle like white outlines where something used to be there and she's just like well, there used to be mirrors here and again like uh she doesn't really explain why, but Violet is like no mirrors. Like, well, she tries to play it off first as like, oh, we're old and ugly and we don't need reminders of it. But then she gets real serious and is like, no mirrors in this house. There's some
Yeah.
slick questioning in there about if she's like marked up, and to which Caroline says not where you can see which she's referring to. She's asking her if she has tattoos. She asked her if her parents are still alive. To which Caroline reveals that her mom left them, but her dad died. And she's just like, just making notes, crossing off checks in her little playbook. Um, Shortly after that, Violet asked Caroline to go up to the attic and get like some kind of seeds for something she's planting out there in the garden. And I made a note of like the double entendre here in this scene of planting seeds because she's literally planting seeds in the garden. But when she sends Caroline upstairs to get the seeds from the attic, we get this sequence where it's got to be Luke upstairs rattling the door. We just see this door just kind of start rattling, and as she gets closer to it, it stops. And she's given the skeleton key earlier when Violet's giving her the layout of the house, and the skeleton key doesn't work on that door, and it stops rattling. And then, like as she starts fucking with the door to the main door to the attic like slams shut and scares the fuck out of her and the door starts rattling again and she like runs downstairs because Violet's calling her. So like they're starting to plant seeds of fear in her already because they need her to have things to call back to because none of the hoodoo shit works if she doesn't believe. So that was a really cool scene to me. I don't know if it was intentional or not with it being seeds that they sent her to get, but to me that was a nice little play on words here of seeds being planted that came out later.
Yeah.
There's something I noted and really, really liked in this movie. Um, so of course, Caroline does ask her about the door there. She's just like, I don't know. It's always been locked. It's never been open. This and that. We cut to some little PG-13 nudity with lots of
Yeah, right.
side moving and some tramp stamps, like really, really 2005 shit, man.
Oh,
We were
yeah.
scared of gore and titties back then. So we got side boob, under boob, and tramp stamp. Everybody had a tramp stamp. Even in the Covenant, there was a tramp stamp. I feel like there was a tramp stamp in Texas Chainsaw, but I could just be making that up. I feel like there was one in the Ruins, probably no, but Ruins had some closer to 2010s nudity in there. that made me feel kind of weird. It was like some Rob Zombie shit. We got to cover that movie. We have to. That movie made me so uncomfortable. But yeah, we get this whole little steamy, and that's another thing about about 2000s movies in general too, was like steamy mirrors in like shower scenes. I don't know
Yeah.
why. Like even in Scream, you see it. Like especially in horror, like the messages being written on mirrors and stuff. There was even one of
Mhm.
those in They Will Kill You earlier this year. There was a scene like that. But yeah, this just kind of all over horror, man. Just hot water and like steamy mirrors and shit and tramp stamps and side boob. Um, so
2000s, man.
right, right. So she hears something going on while she's sleeping later that night, and we have been fully paralyzed, but he is on his stomach crawling like on the roof trying to escape, which he falls. And Caroline like starts yelling out for Violet, and she runs downstairs to get him. And like Violet immediately starts gaslighting Caroline and just being, well, I'm not sure if gaslighting is the right term for this. There is some gaslighting later. Here she just kind of just like, what did you do to him? Like, did you give him the right dosage of medicine? It's just like, what does that have to do with him calling on the roof? But whatever. Um, Whenever she goes inside to go get his medicine, and I think maybe his chair as well, she sees some sheets on his room and like a flower pot or something knocked over. And the dirt from said pot wrote in either help or help me like on the sheets. And this freaks Caroline the fuck out. But she hears Violet hollering, so she hides the sheet and brings the wheelchair out. And this is one of several instances where Violet is like, fuck off, you've done enough. Don't come check on him tonight. Like, we're done. Um, Caroline tries to tell Luke about this the next day, and Luke is just like heavy on the flirting. Like, she calls him into the room and shuts the door, and we get some of that Southern charm where he says, my mom always said if a woman if a lady invites you into her room, she's probably not really a lady at all. And I was just like, bro, you are just bold, like just
Yeah.
laying it on
Yeah.
thick. Um, like
And
so
again, I,
she
I wonder how much of that is intended to be like not good, you know?
right, right. I mean, you do have to wonder because, like I said earlier, they are like they're putting on a performance this whole time. Or did you mean like bad as in like the dialogue was bad, like kind of campy? Or did you mean bad as in
Oh, I'm
what did
sorry.
you mean?
I think you cut out slightly. Say that last part again.
I said, did you mean like bad as in like the dialogue was written bad or campy, or did you mean bad as in like his character portrayal?
Yeah, like his character is ultimately not going to be a good guy, so it's like I wonder how much of like his like
Mm,
attempt at charm is like ultimately written in to be like don't actually be charming. You know what I mean?
right, right, right. Because he is kind of evil. Like even though
Yeah.
like I have conflicted feelings, but actually not. I mean, I guess that is just child murder, right?
Yeah, 100%. Like those
Yeah,
kids
that's
got lynched and burnt
like,
alive.
yeah. I mean, at least find like some KKK recently recruited teenagers. I mean, like some young adults.
And
You still have plenty of years left. I mean, but
honestly,
like,
I
god
think that
damn, dude.
yeah, I was gonna say I think that makes for like a great gray villain characteristic in that
Yeah,
on the one hand these guys are villains, on the other hand it's like damn, like look
they
at
take it there with children. Yeah, like
look
they
at what
take
they're
it there.
like dealing with. Like look at what they're like in the midst of. So it's like
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. It's almost like. like a sins of the father sort of ordeal because
Exactly.
the owners were like notoriously mean to them, which is
Yeah.
stupid to do to people that you know are magic,
Yeah, right?
right? Like, but whatever.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, I guess not too much of a moral compass. It's child murder. It's fucking
100%.
yeah. That got dark, man, right? Like that
Yep.
was
I mean, honestly, that's like the strongest moment of the movie.
yeah, it's darker once you get to the end because when you first watch it, you do think it's them being lynched. Yeah, you think it's them. So then you're like, how did they curse these people? But then at the end, it's like, fuck, that's fuck, that's a fucking, they snuck that right in there.
Yep.
So while Luke is being creepy and flirty, they get interrupted by Violet, who is pretending to be jealous, and then Luke comes over and is like, "Oh, you know, you're the only woman for me," or something like that. To
Yeah, that's
which
another.
you know, like, no, I haven't seen this movie, or like, no, he literally meant that. That wasn't just like a charming young Southern man, just talking to an old lady. Like,
It's a
um,
great, it's a great moment.
yeah. What was this? Oh yeah. So after that whole scene, we kind of cut to. That's one thing I want to say about this movie too. Not a lot of good transitions until she starts getting curious about the house.
Okay.
How did you feel about?
Honestly, that's not even something I'd really notice, but like, I feel like anytime you're in a movie with like a haunted house, the house itself is like a character, and
Okay.
you have to find ways to like flesh it out and like make it more intriguing. And I didn't notice that watching myself, but like if I were to rewatch, I'd pay attention more to like the transitions like within the house. And that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, yeah, because like I'm gonna jump back to an earlier scene because they were somewhere. I thought they were eating lunch earlier when Caroline's telling Jill about the job, but then like when Jill's talking about it's in the swamps and it's far, and like at the end of it, Caroline is like, are we talking or are we dancing?" And they get up and they walk over. There's like a dance floor appear out of nowhere. They were at a club the whole time. And like as they are, the way it transitions to her driving the next morning is they're at this club and they're just kind of dancing and she just starts kind of like swaying like very rhythmically. And it's almost like when we talked about Jennifer's body where you couldn't tell, is this supposed to be supernatural? Why the fuck is this shot like this? Or was it just shot in a weird way? And they were trying to have her, maybe now that I'm thinking about it, maybe they were trying to have her left to right swaying match into the trees moving in the next scene. But it didn't really look like that. Like it was just lots of emphasis on her. It could have also been this movie's version of like, this is the last
Alcohol.
time that too, and it could be like this is the last time you'll see, like you know, when the descent they take the picture in front of the house. Like it could be like that moment in this movie. But then I think you just summed it up. You said alcohol, and I'm reading way too much into it. I think it just could have been, it could have just been that too.
Yeah, just like
But
their
yeah,
attempt to like demonstrate that this person has been drinking.
yeah, because there's lots of times in this movie where it just kind of slow fades into trees or it'll just cut to the next scene. But when she starts exploring the house, they get creative with the camera angles of her sticking the key in and coming out. It gets very Guy Ritchie, who is my goat when it comes to transitions. Even when you
Yeah.
watch his gangster flicks, like you watch Snatch, you watch Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, and you watch The Legend of King Arthur, three very different movies, but if somebody's touching a door handle, like the next scene is going to start with someone opening or closing a door. So
Mm,
it's going to look like you're literally walking into
yeah.
another set almost.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
he's
I get
very
you.
good at that. Whereas this movie, if they didn't start getting there until she gets curious about the house, they kind of were just cutting from here. Which is kind of why my notes are a little bit right now. It's kind of like I'm just jumping a bit, but uh, Caroline cannot get that the. Oh no! I left out a whole scene somewhere. Caroline does get. She finds a missing piece of her skeleton key. She gets into that room at some point before this next scene, and she finds like all this like ritualistic shit, like dolls with eyes like cut out and like looks like certain organs and jars and like these records and like lots of ritualistic symbols and circles drawn and shit like that.
Dude, I will
And
say, whenever she breaks that fucking jar, the
oh,
stench, the smell, whatever that was, ugh.
hmm you know what though? You talking about because I was just about to make a point on that. When she dropped that jar, I was like, when Violet goes up there looking for her, I was like, you don't smell that? But I was like,
Yeah.
I bet you she did smell it, and she's like, good, she's up here. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think she wanted to catch her.
Mm.
I don't think she was going to catch her, even if she, you know what I mean? Because they're playing this game, and in their game, she would find that missing piece and go in there. They want her to see that shit and be
Hard to
scared.
believe.
So I
Yeah.
yeah, so I don't think she had any intention of actually catching her. She calls her name so much, it gives her ample time to hide, you know?
Yeah, you know what
So
else I was thinking?
mhm,
When she does when she does finally like come in, she just like stands there and like calls and like just walks away. Like she doesn't like I was thinking to
yeah,
myself like she could have just stayed hidden in the room she was in the whole time. It wouldn't have been a problem. Like this like frantic rush to get out. It's like no,
yeah,
like she didn't even really look for you. So that
yeah.
makes
But see,
sense
she
to your
didn't
point.
know that they, you know? Yeah, but she wouldn't know that though. So like it's man, it like that's the thing about this movie is so much like you'll watch it and you'll see stuff like like I don't know that that would play out like that. But then once you see that it's all been manipulated by the end, it's like okay, this shit makes sense now. Because
Yeah.
that was a complaint I had, but I took it out of my notes. I was like somebody would smell that, but I was like I don't think she gave a fuck. She wanted her to be up there. Um, so after all that happens, we go back to I wrote down mystical Negro vibes as Jill. They're at another weird ass club, right? This club is like the size of this garage right now. It was weird. Like the guy that's performing and rapping or whatever, he's like bumping shoulders with them, like in the, you know what I mean? Like he's out on the main dance floor. But I don't know what kind of club this was or bar. It's got to be a bar at least. Um, but
I
yeah, there
will
she's.
I will say, having been drunk on Bourbon Street before, um,
Mm,
some of those venues are really tiny, but
okay,
don't know.
okay. So you feel like it fit the vibe then, as someone who's been
Honestly,
there.
I'm trying to recall that exact moment. I can't picture it in my head right now. Um, like in the movie, that moment. But
Yeah,
yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
yeah. I was supposed to go to New Orleans, but then COVID happened. Like I booked my
Mm.
flight and everything,
Yeah, it's been a
and,
frequent
and then the
road
world
trip
ended.
stop for me. Yeah, right.
Damn, that must be nice, man. I need to. I still want to get out there, honestly, just for the seafood. Like I want to eat.
Mm.
I just know it's different over there. I know food in general is just fucking different over there. And like I'm a big fan of the originals, so I just want to go.
Yeah, dude, it's I would recommend staying in a hostel. I stayed in a hostel the last two times I came through. Good vibes, dude. Like if you're trying to meet
Um,
people, like you'll go out with people
nope.
from your hostel.
I'm not trying to see nobody. I'm trying to see Niklaus and Rebecca, and Marcel, and all the other vampires and witches and shit.
Yeah.
Have you watched the originals?
Say again?
Have you seen the originals? The Vampire Diaries
Um,
thing? That's a show that does like the lore of New Orleans and shit pretty well, I think. Like I've never been, I don't really know a whole lot of people from there, but I felt like we were talking about movies earlier that did it well. It was this one, and what's the other one you said? Oh, True
um,
Detective, True Detective
True
season
Detective.
one.
Yeah, and I know
The original.
I haven't really watched it, but I've seen a little bit of True Blood. It's also New Orleans.
Okay, okay. See, I hadn't started that one, but Vampire Diaries is actually pretty fucking good. That's another one I was
Mm.
on probation and bored and just fucking sitting on the couch trying to stay out of trouble. I
Yeah.
just threw it on one day and I was like, oh, this actually is. I was expecting to just kind of have a good laugh or something, but I was like, nah. And I did at points, but I was like, it's actually pretty fucking fire. And then the originals is just balls to the wall. Like it's more action than Vampire Diaries, I want to say. But yeah, just speaking of like New Orleans horror type shit, but we're at this small ass bar where Caroline explains like she found this secret room with all this weird ritualistic shit, and then Jill right away is like, "Oh, you found yourself a hoodoo room," and it's like the whole thing of like I think it was her aunt has a hoodoo shop, and she like takes her to it, and it's just this garage. I mean, not garage. Fucking so
Laundromat.
sorry. It's this laundromat
Hmm.
across the street, and like, and this is another like it felt kind of forced because we don't really see enough of them for them to have a good relationship. We don't see enough of them together. There's a moment where Jill tells Caroline to go in, and Caroline is like, "You're not coming with me, like you're scared." And then she's like, "Jill the Thrill is scared," and I was like, "Jill the Thrill, like." That sounds like a college nickname or something like that. We have no history on that. We never hear it called that again. It was just kind of
Yeah.
weird and like unnecessary. Like that they she could have just been like picking at her for being scared, like normal. I didn't think that nickname was necessary. But again, this movie's so good that all I really have is small nitpicks, and that was just a very small nitpick. But it plays into the trope at the end of this movie because like Jill is like, I'm not scared, but like I'm not stupid, essentially. Like I'm not gonna just fuck around and just be in there. And like another one of them go in and um we're gonna cut to the next night without a great transition, like I said earlier. And Caroline decides to be a little mischievous and put a mirror up in the bathroom. And she puts one in Ben's room, I believe. Um, as Caroline is showering, we see like a figure kind of behind her in the mirrors, I think, like a shadow. I know later on there's a scene where we see an actual figure, but I think we see a shadow or something this time too. Um, but the next morning, Violet walks into Ben's room, sees the mirror, and like fucking flips shit, starts banging on Caroline's door like the fucking FBI. And
I love a good broken dish reaction.
yeah, yeah, I didn't even really catch that until like my second watch because I think I was too busy writing. I was just noticing how like furious she was banging on the door, and
Yeah.
she tells her like I told you no mirrors and this and um. Let me make sure I'm not going to skip something. I got to look ahead just real quick. Okay, so I can just kind of freestyle right here. Yeah, I just left talking points. So Caroline, this is what she starts doing that shit that I don't really like. She starts being like, "Look, I was in that room. There's something you're not telling me. Like Ben was in there when he had his stroke. Like." what the fuck happened, and just like demanding answers and shit. And it's like you're out there alone, like calm down a little bit. But um, as we all know, they're doing this on purpose, like leading her to believe in shit. So Violet tells her the story, and this is when we get to the super dark part of the movie. And I did like the camera work in the flashback. It was kind of reminiscent of Saw, just with like the really quick cuts and quick flashes and the kind of hazy lights. So I really did like this scene. Excuse me. Basically, what we see in here is a story about the two servants they call them, but maybe just say they were slaves. That
Yeah, pretty
that
much.
lived in yeah they serve the masters of this house and
Yeah, I bet you there were a
um
lot of situations like that where it basically continued.
yeah, oh no, definitely. I mean, there were still finding slaves in parts of the South in like 2004 and shit like that. So I mean, I'm
Yeah,
sure it's very, you know what I mean? Like it's
right.
anyway. I don't want to start talking about the real world too much, pissing myself off. But basically, we get told the backstory of Papa Justify, which Justify is just a badass name.
Right.
Like, like I thought I remembered it being Justice or something for some reason, but Justifies. I don't know why, but it's just a badass name. Papa Justify and Mama Cecile, and they serve. I didn't write down their names because it's not really that fucking important the names of these people, but the masters of this house, they're these very rich, important people, and they're having this party with all these other drunk rich people. And during the party, well, I should probably say that Papa Justify and Mama Cecile are like hoodoo priest and priestess couple. Like they're sort of like miracle workers in the community, but their masters don't care. They're still very, very terrible to them. They still beat and torture them and shit. And so during this party, the children come up missing. The owners have a son and a daughter, and they can't find them. I mean, how old would you say these kids were? Like 10?
Yeah, dude, somewhere between 8 to 10.
Yeah, okay. So I suck at guessing age, but I was like, man, these are like children. So like, yeah, um, I think you're right. I would say about between 8 and 10 for sure. Um, but anyway, the kids come up missing, and I'm sorry. This is just like really some white people shit right here though. But the kids are missing and they're all drunk, and so they can't find the kids. And instead of being deathly worried, they turned it into a game of like Marco Polo type shit and are just like drunk and laughing around like, oh, who's gonna find the kids? Like, no, bitch, my children are missing. Like nothing is funny. Everybody sober the fuck up and find them. Like that was just fucking weird. Like no one took that serious. It was just like, oh, the kids are gone. Let's play this big game and find them. Um, while they're playing the game and trying to find the kids, they hear like music and chanting and stuff coming from the basement. And they go in there and they basically find Justify and Cecile. They're like standing having like seizures or it's scary looking. I think just because of the camera work, like just like in Saw, you think you're seeing a lot more than you actually are because the camera is just like spinning real fast and the fluorescent lights are kind of going kind of in and out hazy and like the chanting of the record. And yeah, they're just like the kids are just sitting inside of this like hoodoo circle and they were caught trying to teach the children magic. And the children are like, no, it was our fault. Like we asked them to show us. That doesn't sit well with the parents or the people there in attendance of the party. And they pretty much lynch the bodies of Papa Justify and Mama Cecile in the front yard. They lynch them and pour alcohol all over them and like just spitting like vodka and shit on them, and they light them on fire. And um, the camera pans up to the window and you see the son and daughter staring down at the bodies like hanging in the front lawn and burning. And it cuts back to like a Conjuring reminiscent scene where Violet and Caroline are back in present day and they're just staring up at the tree where the heinous act was committed. And after I wrote down, I have questions about the original ritual, but we kind of talked about that earlier in like the viewpoints on that and the moral compass and like yeah, it's just kind of like straight up child murder. So that kind of
Oh,
answers the
100%.
questions or points I wanted to
Yeah.
make about that. It's just man, it's not quick, like lynched and burned alive. Like that's just
Yeah.
like, golly. And then the parents think about that. They never knew that. So those parents grow up the whole time not knowing that they murdered their own children.
Right.
That's just, man, it's
Mhm.
talk about movies where like the villain wins. Like they really fucking win. That's just fucked the more you think about that and wander on that. So,
Yep. Again,
mhm.
that's like the peak of the movie.
Yeah, it is. So like the movie really picks up and starts to go from here. Caroline is giving Ben a bath one day, and she pulls out her mirror and shows it to him, and he freaks the fuck out. And she manages to calm him down, keep him quiet, and she goes and visits the hoodoo shop, which we talked about earlier. There's a lady in there, and she's getting the potion, and she's telling like the priestess in there like he hit me again, and she just like, you'll take this potion, like, and it won't happen again, and this and that. And you turn around, the lady turns around, and her face is fucked up. Like he really put hands on her, like her lip. Um, and it's really like just this left side, like that lip is just so swollen and like kind of like split in her eye. Like the makeup on the eyes, like she looks like she was in a UFC match. And she looks at Caroline briefly, and like that may be what that look was about, because she looks at her and it's not just like regular like shame or embarrassment. It's like when you see somebody you know what I mean? So like I really think that's her from the gas station. But anyway, she talks to the priestess in the shop and she asks about the rugged clay outside and she tells her like it tells you who your enemies are. You lay a line down and like no one who means you harm can cross it. And Caroline is like, oh, it's kind of like hypnotism. Like if the person believes in it, then it works. Like it doesn't work if they don't believe in it, right? And like she tells her about the house she's living in and how like she knows this man who has been crossed, which is the terminology for cursed, I'm assuming. Um, and she's like, it's because he believes in it. So like, is there another spell that we could work that if he believes that a spell can cure it, can we try that? And she gets this spell, and this next scene is it was tense, and it's another turning point because like the movie only continues to go up from this point. They've done a lot of building, and now it's like it's starting to get real. So she goes in to give Ben his medicine that night, and she locks the door, and she starts performing the spell, and he's slowly beginning to be able to talk again. He manages to say her name and like start kind of pointing towards the door a bit and struggling to talk. And like the whole time this is going on, Violet notices that the door is locked and she is banging on the door and like asking what's going on and freaking out. And like Caroline is asking Ben, like, who did this to you? What's wrong? What is it? Like, who is after you? Whatever, like, what's the situation here? Talk to me, please. And all he can really do is just point at the door, pointing towards Violet. And I think he manages to say help at some point. Violet manages to get inside, and Caroline is like, I was reading him a story, which I thought was like, again, like I'm like, there's no way you think that's what like you just believe that, but as you know, they they like that she's trying to do shit to help them and trying to figure things out because they need her to believe. Uh, I skipped over a. Oh yeah, that night we get this pretty cool nightmare sequence. How did you feel about the nightmare sequence? About the sort of special effects on it or the CGI?
Remind me how it went down again.
So she's pretty much just like kind of tossing and turning in her sleep and just like
Oh yeah,
I
yeah. I
think
remember that zoom in shot from above.
yeah,
Um,
lots of some more PG-13 sexualization of just like girls sleeping in like the panties and the booty shorts. Like you just gotta keep panning over that while she tosses and turns. Um
right.
she couldn't be under the blanket tossing and turning, but whatever. So, and then like at some point she wakes, she's like, it's just like a bunch of weird twisted imagery, and then she wake in the dream or in the nightmare, she wakes up and sits up in bed, and her mouth and her eyes are like sewn shut.
Oh yeah, they're stitched shut. That's right. That's right. That's right. I remember that
Yeah.
now.
I thought that
Um,
was okay, that's right. I just asked you what you thought about it. My bad. Go ahead.
no, yeah. I mean, I remember that now. I yeah, I liked it. I feel like again, like it was laying the groundwork for like what was gonna happen without straight up saying it. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
like she
And do
will
you
be
think
silenced,
that's
essentially.
what I was just getting ready to ask? Yeah, yeah. Like it was like foreshadowing that she won't be able to talk like we're coming for you next, essentially, kind of setting that up. Um, so I'm not gonna lie. Actually, no, we can get through this. Let me see here. So the next morning, actually, now that she has more proof and stuff, she kind of sneaks into the attic again, but she takes her shoes off this time so that Violet doesn't hear. And she's sneaking around the attic and just collecting like creepy shit from the attic or basement, whichever fucking one. And she gets all this and she brings it to Luke, who was still just like not completely like buying it and is just like being like, I'm more worried about you. Like I'm thinking like something's wrong with you because even though she has like physical evidence of shit going on up there, um, she convinces him to kind of take her around to investigate. She's like, I want to talk to the lady who quit. Who so they go to a hospital close by to get the last caregiver that quit. And they find her and she's walking around and she just like basically just reiterates the story of like Justify a little bit and how like that house is like cursed and her mom told her to get the fuck away from there basically when she found out where she was working at and how like the old woman is the one who cursed Ben if anybody did. And just want to note this is also another black character who got the fuck out of there. Um, and didn't stick around for like the creepy shit. But Luke still isn't like completely convinced about this. So Caroline takes him back to the gas station. And this is why I think at least the blind lady is kind of in on it or knows that Justify and Cecile are around because they go into the gas station and Caroline points out to Luke about the red grit clay at the door and how like Kudu has like a hold on these people and like you just don't understand like coming here and um the the old blind lady is in there but she's by herself this time and Caroline is just like I heard you listening to a record earlier and she's like no there's no record there's no records here for you or something like that. And Caroline is like, what if I told you I have this record called uh, The Conjure of Sacrifice? And this freaks out the blind lady. And she's like, if you actually had that, you would not be saying that you have it. That is a very powerful spell. And Justified didn't even learn how to fully work it before he died. Like, you shouldn't be fucking around with that and blah, blah, blah. And she's kind of just like, are you fucking convinced now, Luke? And which I don't believe that he is. And Caroline like realizes that like with what the lady told him about the with what the lady told her about the conjure sacrifice, like that essentially they're going to kill Ben because what she tells her is like that spell, if you sacrifice somebody, you take the years that they have left. So like they know that that she's planning to sacrifice Ben at some point, but she still doesn't fully understand why because like it does say you'll take the years that they have left. So like why would she be killing Ben, who was a stroke victim? It's kind of a plot hole as to like it. I guess I didn't really get that, but um, she goes back to the house that night and she's kind of playing it safe, and she is going to start to get crazy here in a little bit, but uh, she has some clay. She pours it at her door and covers it up with the rug, and she kind of calls Violet to like come look at this leak in the corner of the room. And Violet is just like not coming inside, and she notices that she just like has just always been here. And Violet goes to step over, but we see her toe just kind of like stop and slide as it gets close to like the rug where the clay is. And this kind of goes on. This was a little bit annoying because it was just like, dude, just tell her. You know, if you're gonna do all this, just fucking tell her that you know right now, or just like stop doing that shit. But she kind of goes for a while trying to get her to come into the room, to which Violet eventually is just like, "Oh, Caroline, like you crazy woman, like I gotta cook," and she goes and goes to prepare dinner, which we get some creepy scenes of her like just cutting up this chicken, which I mean, all
Oh
she's
yeah.
doing is getting, you know, yeah, she's just getting ready to cook this gumbo or whatever, but they just make it look so like grimy, just disgusting for some reason. And while she's doing that, Caroline is like, she has a needle and a syringe, and she is spiking like these sugar cubes with something, which we know this later is like, we don't really see what it is, but it's something to kind of to make you unconscious, to put you to sleep. She offers to at dinner. She offers to give some sugar cubes to Violet for her tea, and Violet's like obviously not trusting her because she notices that she's not eating her gumbo. They're both trying to poison each other. Basically, is what's going on
Yeah.
with this dinner scene.
Made me
Uh,
think of Mr. and
the,
Mrs. Smith.
yeah, that's a good point too, and I it made me think about just kind of the antics of the dinner scene. It kind of made me think about the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre dinner scene and just how just tense the back and forth is, which they kind of mimic that in Evil Dead Burn a little bit. I don't know if you've gotten out to see that one yet, but there's a dinner scene there that's kind of tense too. And it's just like this great showdown between Caroline and Violet, where they both know they're trying to poison each other, and they both know that they're onto each other essentially. And to kind of rub it in Caroline's face, Violet gets up, takes the sugar cubes off the table, and takes them into the kitchen. While she does this, Caroline pulls out the whole vial of like the sleep medicine, whatever, and just dumps it into the iced tea. Now, this was a complaint I had because I don't know what she put in there. If it's flavorless, I assume it's not, but you would taste that, right? Like if
You would
someone
think
just
so.
dumped that into your tea. So like that I forgot to bring that up in my complaints earlier. I didn't love that. I mean, I like that she just full sent it, He's like, this is my last chance. But I didn't like how much she poured in there because, for one, she wakes up like she's not out for that long, you know, for how much she put in there. And then two, you would taste that. But again, we're nitpicking, and it's not that important. Um, and they're just kind of arguing, and she's just like, you're trying to hurt him essentially, and like Violet's like, he's my husband, I'll do whatever the fuck I want to him, basically. And then as she's like saying that, she starts to pass out and realizes um, that Caroline still got her. So Caroline goes and grabs Ben, puts him in the car, straps him in, and it's raining this whole time. I should mention there's like a huge, huge
Oh
thunderstorm
yeah,
going
dude. I was
on.
gonna say it's one of the
Yeah.
best rainy movies of all time.
Oh yeah, yeah. It added such a layer of desperation and suspense like the whole time. Because all I was thinking about was Ben, because here, let me just get there real quick. So she puts him in the car, and like the main gate is locked. So she tells the paralyzed man to hang on and just rams into the gate. Doesn't work. She has to take Ben out of the car, and she goes and hides him in the garden shed, and she covers him up. Uh, it's flooding out there. Was my thought was like that. I don't know that that was the best move necessarily.
Dude,
Uh,
I feel like all these people like forget that gators live right there. It's like,
oh
bro, like,
shit! I never even thought about that, and I watched this movie like 3 times this week.
you know what
Speaking
I
of,
mean?
yeah, and speaking of watching this movie 3 times, unlike Scream 3, I loved it every fucking time I had to rewatch it.
Yeah,
I did not get burned out on it. I was just like, damn, this is great. But fuck, I didn't even think about that, man. Like, I did not think about that. Very
yeah,
fucking dangerous. And it's dark too
yeah.
this whole time. This whole thing is going down at night. So yeah, she takes him in the garden shed, lays him on his back, is like, I'll be right back. And she covers him with a fucking tarp or something. And I'm like, that man's gonna suffocate and drown. But again, not super important. She escapes on a boat, but not before Violet wakes up and like just starts fucking letting off this badass shotgun, which even this is part of their plan. Like, because she's missing. She doesn't want to kill her. She doesn't want to fuck that body up because she needs it, right? So she's kind of egging her on to escape and go to Justify. Did you catch that? Like when she was like shooting
No,
at her, or did you kind of think? Because I know I was like, damn, maybe she is gonna kill her. Can she still use the body if she's dead? Like I didn't know how it worked, but I was like, maybe she's missing on purpose and just trying to make sure she keeps running away to Justify. But that's I don't know, maybe. But what she does, she gets to Justify, and she's crazy, she's trying to fucking kill me. And then Violet calls, and Justify, or excuse me, Luke, as we know him right now, Luke answers the phone, and he is just like, she did what? Like, what's going on? And just like acting like he's keeping her at bay and stalling her out. And while she's doing so, we see Caroline uh with this ring. She finds this ring in his drawer that she saw in the attic. This like signature ring of his. It's like this three-headed snake, or maybe it's just three snakes with like these red eyes. It's a really badass ring. Um, and like she sees all these like beginner guides to lawyer for lawyers, like books and shit. And then Justify pops up behind her with like a telephone cord or some kind of wire and wraps it around her neck and strangles her. So my thought again is like, bro, what if you kill her on accident? Like, there's better ways to like choke somebody out without wrapping cords around their necks. It was like, what if that were to kill her? But like she wakes up like bound and gagged on the way back to the house. And this is like very much reminding me of Texas Chainsaw Massacre because fuck, I forget the final girl's name, and that's embarrassing. But I forget her damn name. But she escapes the family at one point, and she finds help with this trucker, and the trucker takes her right back to the family. And I can only imagine like the wear that would have on your mental, escaping that fucked up thing, thinking you've actually found help, and then you're going right back to where you just escaped from, right back to the same fucked up situation with someone else not on your side. Like it's gotta be fucking devastating. But that was just like an interesting little, like, kind of nod to Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Maybe not intentionally, but to me, that's what it felt like. Just the desperation, the I found help, I can breathe, the fuck, I'm right back immediately trapped again. Um, they are like asking her where Ben is, and to which she kind of notices like a jar of clay that's just kind of conveniently placed there. And so she gives up Ben's location. And then while Violet goes out to the garden shed to get Ben, um, Caroline is like stuck in the house with Luke holding her at gunpoint, and she's like, "Y'all are going to kill me. Like, just let me get my picture of my dad." And he's just like, "All right, whatever," and like starts to walk. And so like she fucking bumps into him and runs away. And I really like this chase scene. She grabs the jar of clay and like starts pouring lines around like all the doorways and like thresholds to where like kind of barricading herself inside to where they can't get to her. And it's just this really, I'm not going to go super in detail with it, but it's a really cool chase scene. She manages to make a 911 call, and then she calls Jill, like freaking the fuck out, and then the call just like disconnects. And then there's this very menacing, almost like shining kind of shot of Luke just standing in the doorway, just very menacingly holding the phone cord that he's ripped out of the wall and like kind of smiling at her, you know? And yeah, the chase scene goes on to where Caroline barricades herself up into the attic and she steals this spell of protection that she thinks is a spell of protection. And yeah, we're pretty much at the end. Let me go ahead and close those. So she she is reading all the ingredients and the instructions essentially for this spell to work. She like cuts off a piece of her hair. She cuts her hand to like off her blood, and like she draws like a circle on the floor and the symbols. And um, I mean, they really have us showing that she's like reading off like the ritual. Like she just like she's even writing. It was kind of campy, but she just like circle, circle. Okay, eyes, north, south. But it's just kind of like I kind of get that you're doing a ritual without you saying every fucking thing. Like you didn't really have to hammer that in, but like I get it. She just kind of and as she finishes the spell, we get this really, really great creepy shot of Violet because during the tussle and like the chase scene, Caroline throws Violet over the fucking banister and that bitch goes tumbling down the stairs like a fucking bowling ball down the lane. It's great because I was just like, why don't you just hit this old bitch? And she just like manages to throw her, and she's kind of surprised that it works. And I'm like, bitch, run like it worked. But like we get this creepy like Evil Dead fucking like deadite scene of Violet crawling into the attic and being like, she says, because they're old, she's like calling her my child the whole movie. She's just like, my child, I think you've broken my legs. And it's just like
Yeah.
creepy as fuck. She's crawling up the stairs and like Caroline is like holding this knife out towards her and is like, I'm in this circle of protection. You can't like touch me. And like Violet's just like, where'd you get that spell from, Caroline? Like, you got it from me, right? And she's like, that spell ain't gonna protect shit, but like you from getting out of it. And like she she uses like and I'm wondering if because the spell has been started and that Caroline is starting to believe that Violet is able to grab onto the top of a mirror that's in the room and pull herself up. And we see her legs broken and split open, but she starts to stand up on it and pull herself and walk towards Caroline with the mirror. And it's just gross and creepy. There's not a whole lot of gore in this movie, but the shot of her leg being open and broken, and it's just like kind of like white and like pussy. Um, and it's almost like you can hear like the flesh in there. It's great. It's some great special effects right there. But she's like telling Caroline like, "You're fucked, girl. Like you believe already. Look how far you are. You've drawn a ritualistic circle. You cut your hand like you're doing the shit you believe." And she pushes a circle towards her, and in the circle we see like the young girl that from the story earlier. We see Mama Cecile. We get flashes of like Justify, and it's just like very like Halloween night vibes, glitchy, like black and white flashes, and like Caroline's just screaming, "I don't believe!" But like the mirror starts like charging at her, and yeah, we just kind of fade to black a little bit, and we go to we cut to like um the next morning because it's late. I mean, it's got to be like what 3, 4 in the like you don't plan an escape at like 9 o'clock at night, right? Like it's you want people to be well. I guess it was dinner time. So how the fuck did it get to be morning? Like, I don't understand the time jump at the end. But what happens is they swap bodies. That's what the ritual was, right? Is that Caroline wakes up, kind of rubbing her head, feeling a bit groggy, and she stands up. I forgot to mention at some point during the ending of the ritual, Luke walks in like we hear the record playing, and Luke is like chanting shit too, and yeah, like the mirror charges at her and blah 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 blah. And Caroline wakes up and she picks up a cigarette and starts smoking. And we ain't seen Caroline smoke this whole fucking movie, but yeah, we've seen Violet smoking these it looks like the not Black and Miles, but the shit the blacks, the BLKs, it looks like those, which is like kind of like, yeah, I can see a black person smoking that and not cigarettes all day. Um, because we, as we've already spoiled for everybody, we come to find out that Justified and Cecile, when they were caught at the party with the children, they had already completed the ritual. They had transferred their souls into the children's body, and so it was the children who were lynched and burned in the front yard. And the next, like, they're I gotta stop recording these so late. Honestly, it's not even the fact that it's late. It's the fact that I've been having one day off a week for the past like
Yeah.
3 fucking weeks in a row, and I'm just fucking over it. But anyway, the next morning, the ambulance gets there, and like Jill gets there, and then no, I'm skipping over the most iconic line in the movie. They're looking in the mirror at Caroline. Caroline's looking in the mirror, which is really Cecile looking at her new body, and she's just like, "I told you I wanted a black one this time," and like
Yeah.
and Luke, or I mean, Justify is just like beggars can't be choosers. So you know the black ones never stay. And
Yeah.
I remember that line when we were neighbors and me, you, and Max watched that together. I remember that line being like, that is fucking hilarious because every black person in this movie has wanted nothing to do with the house or
Yeah.
hoodoo or like fucking any of it. Like they've all been like, get the fuck out of there. So even though Caroline called Jill like frantic as fuck before the phone line cut, when Jill shows up the next morning, she sees she sees Violet and Ben on a stretcher being carried out, and Caroline is just like Jill, or no, the who was it? I think Luke tells her that like it's beyond Caroline's help. Like these people need real help now, and like uh we see Violet, who is now Caroline, looking up at Jill in just sheer desperation. Like it's sad. Like it's a sad look. The acting is so good in this movie as far as when they're pretending to be other people in each other's bodies. Just that look of knowing your friend will never be able to piece this shit together is just that's it's just horrific. Um, and I mean the movie pretty much ends with or Cecile kind of playing it off. I mean, Jill's still very suspicious and not understanding anything, but she is kind of able to portray Caroline just enough to get Jill to follow Ben and because she's just like, someone needs to ride in the ambulance with them, in the ambulance with them. Would you mind going? And like, we'll meet you later. And then like, as Caroline walks off, Luke comes up to Jill and is like, she must have like really meant a lot to them, having her here to take care of them. And Jill's like, why? And Luke is just like, or excuse me, justifies like, well, like she left in the house, it's in the will. And you're like, that's how they're going to keep this going. They just have to find a new story, people that don't have families, and just kind of like they 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 took over the estate lawyer's body and put him, the real Luke, inside of Ben this whole time. And so like whenever Ben and Caroline are riding off in the ambulance, it is just double sad because now you know that Ben is Luke. Luke is in there. So Luke is stuck in his old man's body. He's gonna die in like a month, and Caroline is stuck inside of Violet's body, who is now like a stroke victim and will die pretty fucking soon too. And yeah, roll credits, great fucking movie. I added a new
Yeah.
segment to the show that I didn't even tell Zach about. So um I'm introducing some new judging criteria. So there are 5 categories that we can start judging or rating these movies in. And to keep it simple, let's go to a scale of 1 through 7, just to kind of simplify it, like on a rating scale. So like uh on actually being scary, like where do you rate it from 1 through 7?
Actually being scary like a 6, because most of it isn't, but there are, a couple of moments that really stay with you, like,
Okay.
realizing it's the kids being lynched and burnt alive.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
but, like all in all, it's not particularly scary. It does a great job of being creepy though.
right, right. So due to that, and then it's because like I'm kind of more used to watching like um darker shit on a visible level, not so much psychological. I would give it scary from on a scale of 1 to 7. I give it a 4 to me personally, just because of the shit that I'm used to watching. But it does keep a great uh overall dark tone the whole time. And like the center of the movie is just so fucking twisted. Kind of like sinister. It's not very scary now that I'm a grown ass man and I'm not like 18 and brand new to horror anymore. Um, but the shit that they make you think you see that they cut away from last minute, the shit that he's finding the whole time, very dark, very disturbing, very fucked up. Um, so you gave a 6. I gave a 4. I think I said I dropped my pen forever ago. I'm not reaching underneath this dryer to get um characters. Like when I say characters, how invested in them are you, and how much do you give a fuck if they live or die, sort of like on a scale of 1 to 7. I mean, I get it's a 7. Like everybody was interesting except Jill, who was there for mystical Negro reasons. But
yeah, Jill the
yeah,
Thrill, man.
yeah, Jill the thrill. How many thrills would you give this movie on a scale of 1 to 7?
I give it a pretty solid Jill out of 7, which would be like at least a 5 out of 7. I mean,
Yeah,
honestly, like this is definitely one of those movies that like is an underrated gem. Um,
definitely.
Definitely is a bad guys win type of movie. I feel like
Yep.
those are like hard to categorize because like you don't want to be like, yeah, this is my category of movies where the bad guys win, and then you're just like spoiling it in a way before people get to watch it. But like
That is very
is
true.
there a way to
Yeah,
like
so
make that, yeah,
that's a
or
good
to make
point because
a way to make that recommendation without ruining anything?
you really
Yeah,
can't recommend that category of good bad guys win to people. Damn. You know, I've never thought about
yeah,
that. You
yep,
really can't without spoiling it. So you gotta like,
yeah.
I don't know, say something to throw them off. I don't really know. Um, originality, where would you rate it?
It's up there. I mean, how often do you see a movie about, New Orleans possession?
Right.
Very
Yeah.
specific niche,
Not exactly. Very, very specific. And then too, like there are haunted house movies. There's like the whole like almost like misery vibe. Like it's stuff that we've seen before, but we haven't seen it in New Orleans very much. Very much. We haven't seen it revolving around voodoo specifically. Everybody in Hollywood is always like voodoo, voodoo, voodoo. I didn't even really catch on to voodoo until this movie, and then I forgot all about it again until Sinners came out. And I was like, oh yeah, because Hollywood is so like voodoo. Uh, everything is just voodoo, witchcraft, or occult. You don't really hear about hoodoo too much. And I myself personally don't know much about it, outside of the very little I've learned from Skeleton Key and Sinners. Um,
right?
so on a really, yeah, and then like the plot twist is just so good. Um, and then like the way it kept me guessing, even watching it a second time, like having seen it before, rewatching it several years later, I was unable to tell. I was like, who are the main two? Like I couldn't remember fully. Um, yeah, there's just a lot about this movie. It also touches on, even though it's child murder, right? And I'm not justifying it, and that's not supposed to be a joke because I said justify either. But
Oh,
not justifying what happened in this movie, but it's like a slave revenge story in a sense, kind of like Candyman, uh, like the whole origin story behind Candyman. Uh, fell in love with a white woman. I'm not sure if he was caught kissing her or if he did sleep with her, but typical thing like white dad, you defiled my daughter. We're going to say you right there. We're going to get you, have you killed. Like it's, and then he comes back as like a ghost. You know what I mean? It's kind of it's like that without being too like. I hate using this word because it's misused so much now without being like quote unquote woke. So yeah, originality, I would give it. I mean, I wanna say I'll just give it a 7. And then
yeah.
last two categories, the ending. And this one nailed it. I mean, I can just go ahead and give it my rating. I give the ending on this one a 7, which is rare. If you know me, if you've heard me rant before, you know I go into horror movies just accepting that you're going to rush through this last half hour with some bullshit. if you can entertain me for the
Yeah.
first 60 minutes, if you keep me on the edge of my seat for 60 minutes, I I'll give you a bullshit ending. Now I'm still gonna call it bullshit, but I'm not too let down because it kind of happens all the time. So with a movie like this, where it's so like where the ending is nailed perfectly in like more than one way. Like the movie, anyway, we kind of just talked about. I won't get all into it again, but the this movie almost has like a couple of different endings, like a couple of stories that are closed slash not closed. Like you know what I mean? Like it's a great ending. It's just sad for everybody that's not one of the bad
Yeah.
guys.
Right.
And it works great even on a second watch, like watching it Tuesday and watching it again Wednesday after work.
Yeah.
It still works for me. So this is one of
Every
those rare
time.
cases where I'm gonna give the ending a seven. What do you say?
Yeah, I gotta agree, honestly. I think that like I mean, I'm not gonna lie and pretend like I'm some big Kate Hudson super fan, but like
Mm.
between this and How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, like those are probably top two, right? Right? Like
Bro, hey, look, I'm not gonna lie to you. I told my wife, the way Kate Judson, Kate Judson, God damn, he's a bit of it. The way Kate, the way Kate Hudson's jaw is set when she's relaxed. Remember the scene in How Was the Guy in 10 Days and where my boyfriend thinks I'm fat. You remember that whole thing where she
yeah.
like she tried to get that motherfucker killed in there eating that salad and shit. And then she's back in the back of the restaurant with the line cooks eating a fat ass burger and like watching the game that she's making in this as well. Uh
Yeah.
Her face when she's devouring that fucking fat ass burger. The way her cheeks set in this movie, at certain points it just looks like her mouth is filled with burger.
She's mewing.
Like yeah. There was a
Yeah.
couple times where I was like, God damn. In her like freakishly small ass ears.
Yeah.
But
Freakishly small ass issues. Yeah.
like a
Yeah,
little
man. I feel
Legolas
like
hit reverse you.
it's a classic 2000 star that
It is, man. That's
no
how there was
disrespect,
a
but like
guy.
definitely came and went with the 2000s.
Yeah. Now I see a lot of people that don't like that movie. As someone raised by a single mother who was forced to watch a lot of bullshit.
Yeah.
We're getting off topic. I'm going to bring it right back to this last judging criteria. But how to lose a guy in 10 days in my big fat Greek wedding are funny as shit. Like like the opening line to my big fat Greek wedding is her dad saying, you need to get married soon. You're starting to look old. That's like how the movie opens. It's like, what the fuck? What are you talking about? That's just how you talk to your daughter, just off rip. But anyway,
Yeah.
going off topic, the last the last bit of judging criteria here, rewatchability. No, there's a bonus one also actually, but rewatchability. What do you give it?
Um, I think the fact that you can rewatch it and like look for the character's perspective, like now that like you understand like what's going on, makes for a good
Mhm.
rewatch highlight. Um, I think at the same time, it's a depressing movie to rewatch in a way. Like,
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
so it's both got its pro and con in terms of like rewatchability.
It is, and that happens when you have a movie where the whole thing relies on the ending plot twist to pay it off. Unfortunately, it happens. Um, except for Training Day. I could watch Training Day probably like three times a day, like religiously. That's in the running for my favorite movie of all time, between Training Day,
Yeah.
Snatch, and Harsh Times. But yeah, rewatchability with this one, not to say it's a bad movie because I mean I just praised this movie for like a fucking hour and some change probably. But I would give rewatchability a 4 only because it does rely on the plot twist. And it's not one of those movies that you want to watch all the time. Like you kind of want to forget some stuff. Like this is one of those ones where like I wish I could forget it every time I wanted to rewatch it and just put myself through that again. So due to wanting to keep it at that level of mystique when I rewatch it, I would say about mm, I give it a 3 because it's not something I want to watch all the time. Like
Yeah.
maybe annually or when I'm showing it to somebody else, when I can just like stare at them and like wait for them to freak out and put it together and like watch that light bulb fucking click and then be like, oh, fuck, that's twisted. Um, this is a
Yeah.
bonus one.
Okay.
So bonus question, I guess. Not really judging criteria anymore, but bonus question. Um, who would you show this movie to? Meaning, what setting, what occasion,
I think
example.
I'd show this movie to someone in a situation where like I have not revealed to them the genre of the movie. I kind of want it to be like a surprise.
Hmm, okay, okay. So you want to take me through a little shit detective. Is it supernatural? Is it not? I don't fucking
Yeah.
know for real. Okay,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. So you want to go just no genre, not just hey, this movie's badass. Come watch it.
Yeah. Pretty much.
You want to set somebody up. Okay.
Yeah.
I would
Yeah.
show it to um I think it's a great way to ease somebody into the genre
Okay.
slash slash anyone who hasn't seen it. I want to be there when you watch it also. Let's just say that. Like I'll watch I could watch anybody talk about seeing this movie for the first time and being excited at the same shit that I was excited about. It's
Yeah.
also one of those like if you tell me you haven't seen it, I'm gonna rent it on the spot for you and
Yeah.
we're gonna sit down and watch it. Same with training day. You haven't seen what? Leave my house or sit down. Actually, I want to go grab us something to drink. I hardly ever watch Training Day sober. That's the movie. I just gotta have a drink with it.
Yeah.
Uh, you just have
Perfect.
to.
I
You
get it.
have to.
I get it.
Um, man, I think we're starting to find a little rhythm here. I just need to have work give me a fucking break so I can be like coherent while we're doing this shit.
I
Uh,
get you.
it's just been a rough one. And then like man, like my boss is just like begging me to strangle him, like with
Yeah.
everything. He's just
Well,
really trying.
don't do that yet. We got some
No, I
more.
won't, especially since I just said that here on camera. If anything happens to him, it was not me. But it's just like metaphorical. Like, do you ever have someone just beg you to beat the shit out of them? It's just
No, I
beyond
get you.
conversation. Like
I get
I've
you.
honestly I'm just completely nonverbal with him. Like it's I think he can tell. He's definitely
Yeah.
walked in on me. He's walked in on me talking shit a couple times, and I have not shut up either. Like
Yeah.
I've just been like he avoids confrontation so much. My last chance is like if he'll overhear me talking shit, his bitch ass ain't gonna say shit to me. But like maybe he'll hear the fucking problems, like and he'll fix something. But like, or maybe he'll grow some balls and say something to me and like get some respect out of me. But anyway.
Yeah.
Thank y'all for tuning in though, and I've been forgetting to say, man, like, comment, subscribe. I have a Facebook page. Um, I don't want to make this a Twitter. Twitter's kind of weird right now. It's very weird right now. It's just fucking uh politics and I don't know. Twitter's just weird. If you I feel like if you didn't have a Twitter like back in the day, and maintain that Twitter till right now. If you're just getting on like within the last 10 years, maybe, just don't. Just get off
Yeah,
of there. Uh, maybe. But
not a
I'm
good time
thinking
to join.
about yeah, I'm thinking about making like a TikTok for the channel, maybe, because I was watching the Raid Redemption the other day, and because when I watched Evil Dead Burn, as much as it didn't feel like an Evil Dead movie, the tenseness and the chase scenes and just like the way that movie just beats your ass and doesn't let you breathe, I was like, man, there's something to be said about action movie directors, good, good action movie directors, and like really good thriller horror directors, abilities to keep your attention and invoke the same emotions in very different styles and ways. Like the
Mm.
Raid Redemption, that action, man, once that movie, it's like it's John Wick with like with guns in the first 10 minutes. And then it's just hands, feet, just rusty blades, fucking knives, hammers. Like it's it's basically these cops carrying this ghetto apartment building in like Indonesia, I believe, like floor by floor, but they get caught. This kid manages to warn the drug lord who lives at the top floor they're trying to work to, and the drug lord has bought the entire apartment complex, the entire project, and he gets on the PA system and it's like, hey, there's like six cops downstairs. Go deal with that. Kill them. And they just go through it floor by fucking floor, this whole movie until there's like two of them left. And you just want them to catch a break so bad. Um, 13 Hours, Secret Soldiers of Benghazi, another movie. You want them to just have a break, man. Like you almost, when they get a break, I almost cried in 13 hours when some more people
Yeah.
roll up and it wasn't enemies. I was like, I feel like it was me. I was like, oh thank fuck. I was like, thank God it's back up. Like, you know, but like Evil Dead Burn, like the whole movie, I'm just like, God damn, like I can't breathe. Like, when is this? Like, I want off this ride. I really fucking do. But I'm kind of just rambling right now, but I say all that to say I was watching the raid and I made a video on TikTok. I shared it to Instagram and Facebook, and they were just talking about just the savageness of one of the characters. And people have been talking to me about that movie in my comments like all day, um, on across all three social media platforms. I did a similar thing with the scene from Saw some time ago, which got a lot of traction. So I'm thinking TikTok may be the way to go to bring in some more views and things. So I may make us a TikTok page and just kind of like every now and then post like some of my like favorite scenes and just like my thoughts on them, just to get us some traction going and things like that. And then whenever I post like crump shit, I'm gonna like start putting not the link to the channel, but a random interview in my comment section. Um, somebody somewhere will like that movie, hopefully. It's like, huh, that's cool. But I'm gonna call it as I gotta be at work in about 5.5 hours because they don't like me. Um, Disturbia next week though, that's still good.
Yeah, I'm down for that.
All right. So I'll go ahead and start uh giving that a couple watches. I feel like that play by play is going to be a lot more intense. That's a long ass movie.
Yeah.
And that one I
Yeah.
only saw one time, like when I was still in the Marines. Like I saw it 2016. This is going to be a fresh watch. I mean, I'm actually very fucking excited.
Wait, you've only seen it once, like ever?
Y- Yes, I don't think I watched it with y'all again. I don't think
Mm.
I've never seen it again. I've only seen it the one
Damn.
time, and I was
Okay.
like early 20s, maybe I was 22, 20. No, no, fuck no. I was super young when I got out still. I was probably no, I was probably 21 or 22 at that time. Yeah, and I'm 32 next month. See, my phones are going off right now about this fucking Raid movie. People like this movie, man. It's a good fucking movie. Um, I think that just confirmed. I'm going to make us a TikTok because my phone is still going off right now.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I don't have TikTok at all, but I
Dude,
think
it's
that'd be a
fun
good
over it.
choice.
It's a lot less drama. It's just funny. But yeah, man, I'm very excited about Disturbia. Uh, so I will text you when I start getting notes down about that one. And everyone else, good night, or if you're whatever time you're watching this, goodbye.
Yep. Sounds good.
And stop recording.